Good morning, everyone. So lovely to see you all. We are going live today with a lovely guy called John Attridge from BBX. He's one of our founding members at Ambition Growth Network, and he has come here to share a really awesome presentation with you today. So please welcome to the screen, John Attridge. Here we go. Lovely.
Hello everybody. Hello, Joe. How are you?
You good?
All happy. All happy.
Not too well.
Every day we wake up and we're still alive. Everybody's happy.
I am still alive. I burst my eardrum a couple of days ago, so I'm feeling a little bit at the moment. So not usually my happy, cheery self, but you can more than make up for it, I'm sure. Absolutely. Bring the joy. Fantastic stuff. So, yeah, I just thought, obviously, yeah, you've been a member since the beginning of Ambition Growth Network, so we're into month 2 already. It's gone really quickly, isn't it? And yeah, I said, obviously, we've had lots of conversations through the coronavirus business support group since the beginning as well, and you've been really really helpful with a lot of the people in the group and giving some great advice. So today we thought we'd bring you on to showcase you, give you a little spotlight, and yeah, run through your little presentation about BBX and how we can look at multiple streams of income and earning more out of the opportunities that we've got. So tell us all about it.
I just like the whole idea of this network is that, you know, during tougher times, people with a little more entrepreneurial flair than average Joe and average Jane do something different to get that better result. And by connecting up together is an important facet of that, because if it's your connections that will help you through a lot of these issues, because there's a lot of great skill out in the big wide world. And if you get access to it all, it just helps everybody survive.
Definitely. I think we're all stronger together, aren't we? I think it's definitely a hashtag I've used a few times, but I think connecting across the whole of the UK has been really important as well, because actually with these Zoom calls and StreamYard and connecting virtually has been a godsend, I think, for a lot of people, isn't it? So
yeah. All right.
Are you ready? Are we ready to get you on for your little show this morning? So
I hope so, if I can use this technology.
I know, we're embracing new technology every day, aren't we? So it's all good, and I think, yeah, fantastic. So yeah, if you get your slideshow and press from the beginning on there, and then I can pop it up on the screen for everyone to see how it all goes. So we've got a couple of people watching this morning. Darren, Darren says hello. Good morning, Darren. Lovely to see you. That is very nice indeed. Excellent stuff. Right, I'm going to bring up onto the screen now, obviously, John's presentation. So take it away there, John.
Okay, so this is a replication of one that I've been doing at a few exhibitions and trade shows last year and early this year before COVID. And, you know, the title of this one is why 50% of people in business survive despite their best efforts not to, and the other half fail. I know that sounds funny when you first get your head around it, but even successful businesses do dumb things. Or moreover, they just do stuff or they don't do stuff they're not aware about. So I just thought I'd start with this little video, if I can, Joe, that explains a business path. So this is the average business person. Because we all know that every business, you set it up, you have the destination in mind, you set sail, you've got all the plans there, everything goes smoothly, there's never a hump, there's never a bump, and you get to the destination and everybody sits on the beach and has a great time. That's how business operates, right?
Totally, yeah. I've always found that. In our dreams, absolutely.
And you never have to be nimble, and you never have to do anything different. A little bit like this guy. So let's assume this guy's in business. So it's an interesting journey, isn't it? So, you know,
yeah.
just need to stop this bit. How do I do that? Sorry, Joe.
So at the bottom on the left-hand side of the blue screen, there's little arrows.
Yeah.
You see the arrows?
There we go.
Let's go to the next one. That should.
Oh, hang on.
No, maybe press that one again. Let's have a look. Technology, it's a wonderful thing. It is.
There we go.
There it is. Yay. Happy days.
So before I just get into this part, yeah, that's the journey of a life, the true life of people in business, isn't it? That, you know, you start off with a journey, you get people making pot shots at you, you climb the tree and you're getting there on top of everything. Next thing, someone's going to cut it down on you. Next thing, you're swimming, you get bumped off course, and then you've got to be very adaptable in explaining the situation you just got into. Otherwise, you end up in a lot of strife.
I can well imagine. Yeah, I've never been stuck in a cupboard myself, but yeah, I can see how that's a good one to use your communication skills to get out of. Definitely.
That's it. So that's business as we know it.
Mm.
So I'm going to give you a couple of little case studies now of people that I've come across. These are real live situations that I've actually faced myself with, which is why some people in business survive despite their best efforts not to. So this is not talking about the 50% that fail. This is talking about the people that are doing it right now, but they could be doing some extra bits in addition to what they're currently doing to get a better result.
Definitely. We always talk about optimizing our opportunities and optimizing our income, because, as I said, so many people just do the straight and narrow and they kind of focus on one thing. I was talking to a guy the other day who had a driving school, and he said, that's all I can do is just teach people, and now I can't do anything. I said, so what have you done in lockdown? Because I said, personally, if I was doing a driving school, I would have done some courses, perhaps on some video courses that I could have sold to our clients to help them get through their theory or get through their kind of driving tests and stuff like that. And he was like, oh, I've never thought of doing any extra add-ons. And again, I think obviously when we've got, I know you're going to talk about kind of making sure we're kind of at capacity, and when we've got gaps in our kind of businesses that we need filling, how we're going to do that, really, isn't it? So
yeah. And some other observational sort of things. So yeah, an example of what you're talking about is Shane Warne, the cricketer. I'm sure there's people that are familiar. I know Shane, I've met him, and he has a gin distillery. And at the start of COVID, he turned the gin distillery into a hand sanitizer factory, because the alcohol that goes into gin is the same as the hand sanitizer, the process and the machinery is the same. And so there's an example of, you know, we got into lockdown, he can't sell any more gin, but he's using his existing infrastructure to create a product that is in high demand. Definitely. And, you know, that's a great example. Yeah. Here I'm talking about, Joe, the Pear at Parley, lovely little pub in Bournemouth. I was there last summer, and I just happened to be driving down the road, and I saw this sign saying the new Pear, it's open under new management. I thought, oh, I'll take a look. I was there with my wife and a couple of kids, so that we went up the driveway, very nice, parked up the top, plenty of parking, all nice. Went into this area here, as you can see, quite nice. Went in, was greeted at reception. It was a nice sunny day, so we were asked if we'd like to stay inside or we could go out to the outdoor seating area where they've got a new pizza oven where you can see the pizzas being made. Thought, brilliant. So we go out there and order our pizza, have a couple of beers. The bill comes to, I don't know, 100 quid. And the lady comes over, serves us well. The food was good. She asked if we liked our food. Usually when you've just taken the first mouthful, and then they come and ask you, one of those scenarios.
They always ask you when your mouth's full, don't they? Absolutely.
Like a dentist. And yeah, everything's fine. We pay our bill and we leave, and I'm right at this door here, and I've got my back to this door as we're leaving. And I stop and I say, you know what, that was a great experience, but they're missing 3 vital things here. And my wife said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, the first one is they didn't take any details of who we are. I'm sure we can all identify we've been to a restaurant or a pub or somewhere nice and no one knows who we are. We might with COVID if you have to sign in or whatnot.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
they didn't have any details. They didn't have any emails. They didn't have any contact. So they could never send me another offer or anything like that. Mistake number one. Mistake number two, they when they did all their analysis, they didn't ask me what was my buying motivation. What was the motivation that caused me to turn the steering wheel and come up their driveway today? They asked me how the food was, which is such a dumb question because everyone's going to say, yeah, it's all right, unless they're throwing it out. They didn't ask me the buying motivation. So I'd ask people in business, ask your customers what motivated them to do business with you today, not where you found me, because that's a dumb question. And then the last thing that they didn't do was they give me any invitation to come back. If they gave me a little voucher to say, you know, next time you come back, here's a bottle of wine if you bring 2 people with you or something like that. Now, if they'd have done just those 3 simple things, Joe, how much would it cost them to have done all 3 of those?
A bottle of wine, yeah, absolutely.
3 or 4 quid at the wholesaler. And
you know what, I'll add another one to that one, John, because yeah, totally agree with those 3. But I said nowadays, when you do business with people, if you get a good testimonial out of them, Jane, you've just said, yes, I love the food, I want to come back. They need to make sure that they're going out to the web and again, making sure that they give a nice little review type thing. So we always ask, yeah, for reviews, obviously from that point of view. Ours are a little bit different on LinkedIn and Google, but as I said, in the restaurant industry, I think what other people think about it and they talk about it sings far above what the owner is ever going to be able to do with their marketing as well, isn't it? So yeah, people's experiences, people do listen to, and we'll definitely. And when my daughter chooses where we go for lunch most of the time, she's constantly on TripAdvisor or she's on all these different review sites going, oh, this one's good, this one's not. Yeah, so it's definitely worthwhile asking for that as well, isn't it?
So my whole point was, here's this lovely infrastructure, you know, very lovely presentation, the service, the food, everything's great, but they could do just those little few things that cost virtually nothing, and they could get 20, 30, 50% increase in turnover just by some simple things. The next one here is answering the phone. Now, how annoying is it when you try and get through to a big company and you end up in a queue, dial 1 for this, 2 for that, and then you know, they never ever want to try and deal with you. To me, I can never understand that. Also, companies, smaller companies, how many times do you want to get a painter? And they don't even, the phone rings and rings and rings and rings and rings, and there's no message facility. Even if they're busy painting, they don't have a VA or PA or an outsourced facility of some kind to answer the phone. Statistics say, Joe, that less than 1 in 2 people, so more than 50% of people will not leave a message to someone they don't know. And so, you know, how many businesses do you contact from time to time that don't answer their phone or don't answer it professionally or consistently? So there's another tip for businesses that, you know, it doesn't cost much to get those services done, but get someone at least that's following up your calls. Here's an interesting one with an offer. And they were a wine company, and they sent me an offer and they were going to give me 15% off my next purchase. And I didn't even ask for it. And I'm thinking, nice try, but why not value add instead of discounting? So I speak around the world on, please stop discounting and add value. So instead of giving away your top price straight from the top of your revenue account, find something that you can partner with, collaborate with, or add value to that doesn't cost you 100 pence in the pound, but provides that amount of value, or if not more, to your buyer. Is that making sense, Joe?
Definitely, yeah.
So what can you do in your business to add value to your offer without discounting? So that's another one. This is another one. I was in a show up at the NEC last year, and that there was one coffee shop in this venue, and there was a lot of people. What do you see there? A queue. It must be an English thing. People love queuing. I just can't imagine why anybody would find that as an enjoyable experience. So in this particular one, they had 6 people working behind the thing, behind the bar, 1 taking orders, passing the order along to the next person who was making it. Sounds all great, but instead of someone coming out of the queue and taking orders or speeding up the process, you're waiting 20, 30 minutes to get a cup of coffee. Just totally ridiculous. I had another one recently I put on LinkedIn and Facebook, where I went to a fish and chip shop. So I got a little invitation to go there. I turned up at the time to order my fish and chips out of lockdown, and I got there, looked in the door, and it said not open till 5. It's 4:30, but I can see 5 people in the shop all cooking and answering phones and taking orders and stuff. So I phoned them up and waved to them through the window, and they waved back, and I'm still stuck out on the footpath. And I said, oh, look, can I order some fish and chips? She said, yeah, but you can't pick it up till 5. I thought, oh, okay. So anyway, I went and had a coffee, came back, and about 10 minutes to 5, and all of a sudden there's 19 people in the queue outside on the footpath, and they're all waiting to get into the fish and chip shop. And I'm thinking, what's going on here? No, anyway, the girl comes to the door. She looks up at the clock. It's 5 o'clock. She was looking at the watch, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? Is it a bank? Are they waiting for the vault to open or something? You know? And so I went in one at a time, social distance, all the stuff. I ordered my food, took it away, nice food, the whole thing. But why couldn't someone from that shop come out and take orders in the queue? Or something of that. Just such a simple thing that all the orders would be there, they'd be ready, they'd be cooking, then call the numbers, and, you know, the queue would die.
One thing that's come out of social distancing and kind of looking at the companies that have done it good, I went out to celebrate a few wins a couple of weeks ago and went to a pub. I was like, oh, it's the first time I've done that in a very long time. And I went to a pub called the Slug and Lettuce, and we were all sat down. It was table service, so it was a very different experience, but they'd invested in an app. So you could so you scanned this kind of QR code that was stuck to the table. You could choose from the menu in any different language that you had, and you could see all the bits and pieces. You clicked on it. 2 minutes later, it just arrived on your table. I mean, it was such an easy transaction, and I think actually technology is now making that system a whole lot better, because you could sit with your mates at the table. You don't have to get up. You can pay through PayPal or through your card, but just sat at the table. And again, you can just pass the phone around. People put in their order, and there's no confusion. Much cleverer idea. I did like it. I was like,
yeah, absolutely. And QR codes are the way of the future, ordering and for a payment gateway. And, you know, there's plenty of good facilities to do that and adhere to social distancing, which is so important. So there's some examples, Joe, as to why I say some people survive in business despite their best efforts not to. Now, what happens with some other things? There are 4 biggest avoidable business diseases and illnesses that people can get through. The first disease that I talk about is Scott and Neil. Scott no mates and Nearly got no mates. So plenty of people in business don't become part of a network like AGM. You know, they try and do things alone, and it's not the way to do business. The more contacts that you have, you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and the connections that those people can provide. And the vast majority of people will want to help you, particularly in these times. It's amazing the amount of people that come out of the woodwork that want to help other people, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of that, Joe.
We have, yeah. And it's really lovely to see people really pulling together and offering help. People that don't even know each other, who've got a skill set that they can share. So and the Coronavirus Business Support Group since the beginning, and so it's been just such a joy to see everybody coming together and helping and supporting one another. And I think the bigger your network, the less it feels like competition from that point of view, because actually you can deal with someone across the other side of the country with a different kind of set of people that they're trying to pitch to. So it makes it a whole lot easier, definitely.
Yeah, people get too blinkered and think that, you know, if they share that somehow that they've got the secret of life and no one else can find out about it. And if that was the truth, you'd all be Jeff Bezos and be Amazon, wouldn't you? It's quite near. The next one, and I speak about, is bank profitability. And, you know, who makes more money than their bank, I'd ask. And there's not too many. But banks have been very, very guilty of being very unfriendly to business, particularly since probably the GFC, the global financial crisis. And, you know, there are plenty of new banks starting up, plenty of new ways of doing business. And I'd urge people out there, particularly if you own a business, to look at some of the alternatives there. Some of the startup banks like Starling, Tide, Cash Plus, people like that are providing a little better incentive than these big banks. And it's high time globally that we stop using these guys if we can. I won't get on my soapbox, but that's a separate issue. One of the ones, Joe, as you well know, I deal with a lot, and it's spare capsulosis. And that's the ability to take on more business over and above what you're currently doing without increasing any of your fixed cost. So here's an example of a stadium, and it hasn't got one single seat that's being sat in at the moment. I'm sure we all have spare capacity of some kind in our business at some time, and I'll cover that in a second. But if you can put the spare capacity element of your business to work, then you've got a far better result with the same infrastructure. You're paying exactly the same rent, exactly the same wages. You know, all the fixed and static costs are all there. Why not wring the rag or squeeze the orange to get a little bit more juice out of the same item? And then the last one is cash flatulence. And that's, cash flow is like a river, isn't it? You've either got to make it rain upstream a little bit or put a dam up to stop the water flowing downstream. So what are the best ways to do to get better cash flow in your business? Because that will be one of the killers. So there's some diseases that I speak about. And the bad news, sadly, is that 20% of all businesses, this is the one that 50% that fail in their first year of startup. And when you get COVID and other things like that jumping in the road, like the guy on the log, or the next thing he's swapped into the wardrobe that he didn't even know was going on, COVID comes along and bang, if we don't do something different, we're not going to get the result that we've always got. And 50% of the businesses fail by the end of year 3. That's alarming. Why is that? And there are a number of different reasons, and they can be from all different walks of life. Because people, Joe, I've found over the 30, 40 years that I've been working in business communities is that people are passionate about what they do. They're great painters, or they're great architects, or they're great restaurateurs, or fantastic hairdressers, or whatever there is. And they really like what they do. They're passionate and great at what they do, but they're hopeless at running the other aspects of their business, the marketing, the legal, the accounting, all the other bits and pieces that are necessary to make it up. So I recommend that one of the other advantages of being part of a community is use the community for people that love being an accountant, get them in, outsource these people if you can, and collaborate with people that do the stuff that you're not good at and don't like. I'm hoping that making some sense.
It's really important, I think, to have the right kind of power team around you, isn't it? To have people that you trust to look after the cogs, that you don't kind of know how they all work. Because as I said, obviously, I mean, I've been doing businesses since I was a teenager, to be honest with you, and I got into it and blagged my way through for the first kind of few years, not really realizing how much stuff goes on behind the scenes. And I think especially when we started up the coronavirus business support group and all these new rules and regulations, and just trying to keep up with it really and understand how to change and look at the opportunities within your own business. But I think as a business owner, you need to focus and look at the vision, isn't it? Really, you have to be the visionary. You have to get the core of the work done and have that support system around you, which is why we kind of set up Ambition Growth Network, really, to kind of be surrounded by other ambitious people that want to grow their business, but also themselves, so personal development as well. But you can't do it all, and a lot of startup solopreneurs are doing everything from marketing and accountancy to doing their actual job, as well as cleaning, making the tea and everything else, isn't it? And again, the more time you focus on doing what you make your money from, the better, obviously, you're going to succeed in business, I think.
Yeah, people take a short-sighted view sometimes, and they think they sit there doing their books, and if they don't like them, and I'm just using that as an example, they don't like doing it, they're not good at it, and it takes them a longer time to do it. And you think, the time you're doing that, you could have been off making your widgets. So that's my point.
Yeah, it's all about leveraging, I think, isn't it? So
So these are some of the common reasons why businesses fail. They haven't got a strategic plan or a no plan B. So when COVID comes along, what do I do? So one of the things that I speak about, Joe, is starting with the end in mind. So you wouldn't go on holidays if you didn't know where you were going. You'd have all the plan on what the airport looked like, what time it was, when the transport's going to pick you up, what the restaurant looks like, where you're going to, how you're going to get from P, what are the tours you're going to do. So many people in business start and they don't know what the business is ever, where it's going. So how can you get to you're going if you haven't got a plan or a roadmap to get there? So that'd be number one. They do inadequate marketing, and I call this spam: sponsorship, promotion, PR, advertising, and marketing. So the first thing to go when cash flow gets tight is they'd stop marketing. And I'm thinking, that's like driving a car and thinking, well, I won't put any petrol in it, and still hoping to get to your destination. That's such a bad mistake. Uncontrolled growth, which is nice to have, but you can't replicate what you're doing. So these are for businesses that are trying to scale a little bit. They don't train their staff properly. They have trouble with recruitment. So from start-up to scale-up, there's a big gap in there where you need to be mindful. Incorrect pricing, as I said before, they go off discounting instead of value adding. They have management issues. They're great at what they do, but hopeless at the other stuff. And a lot of people in recent years, they've taken a redundancy, or they've left the government, or they've decided that the time was right to come out of the PAYE cave and go and do it for yourselves. And they've bought a job. They haven't really lacked the experience in running a business. So they're some of the main reasons. And then, of course, the last one is a lack of capital. They haven't looked at, and for unforeseen circumstances. COVID comes along, and if the government doesn't help, we're all screaming because we didn't make an allowance for that when we set off. So for product related businesses out there, that was for time-based businesses. For product, poor location, improper inventory control, that you have excess stock, you have stock that's going rusty or getting rusty or dusty, or out of fashion or what have you.
Out of date, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
And for startups, it's lack of market research. So they haven't got their destination. If you've got 2 or more of these, Joe, your success rate falls by 80%. That's a staggering thing. So of those things, and if people want to come back and have a look at this later, of those key points, if you've got 2 or more of those key points, you have got an 80% chance of being in the 50% of failures. Now, I don't want to be pessimistic, but there's some simple things there that you can do to avoid it. One of the simple ones, and I'll briefly touch on that today, is to the capture and monetize of the biggest hidden asset in everybody's business that they're not aware of, because there is hope at the end of the tunnel. It's the spare capacity that I was talking about before. So spare capacity is a little bit different. It's the elephant in the room that nobody talks about, nobody sees. They don't even know it's there because it's so obvious. And spare capacity is, in the case of a hotel, an empty room. So I'm sure we've all been to a hotel and they've had an empty room at some point. Or it's a blank advertising screen. So if you're an advertising company and you're not selling every piece of advertising every minute of every day, you've got spare capacity. For the vast majority, my guess on this call, Joe, it'll be unfilled appointment time. So where you're selling time for money, a lawyer, a dentist, a painter, a mechanic, a web designer. If you're not fulfilling your time to its maximum paid for opportunity every day that you're prepared to work, then that's your spare capacity. And for the retailers, it's the unsold or slow moving stock. So these are all big killers in the business. So to do all the marketing and the other things, pay for the outsourcing and all sorts of other things, people will say, John, yeah, that all sounds great, but how do I afford it? And this is where I'm saying you can afford it, by looking at turning into money some of the spare capacity that you have in your business. And I've got a widget that can measure this. So if you're a widget maker and you can sell £1 million worth of widgets and you're currently only selling half, then I know you've got $500,000 of revenue opportunity there if we can only capture and monetize it in some way. And that's what I've been doing, Joe, for the last 30 odd years.
Indeed.
So just by way of an example, the spare capacity for a hotelier is hotel rooms. So for this example, let's say a hotel has 100 rooms. It charges £100 a night. It's open 365 days of the year. And everyone on this call can do this calculation for your business. It's just the different mechanisms. If you're a time-based business, it's how many hours in a week? How much an hour do you charge? How many days a week are you open? How many weeks in the year? Are you following this, Joe?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So let's say this hotel has an average occupancy rate of 70%, and I guess that there wouldn't be a hotel in the land that would die for a 70% occupancy rate. So the current turnover, it's got 100 rooms, 70% are sold, £100 a night, 365 days a year. So the current turnover is 2.555 million. But it's got its maximum turnover could be 3.6 if it sold every room every night for 100 quid. And therefore the spare capacity in this example is over £1 million. So that's
quite a big amount, isn't it? Just that, yeah.
So if this hotel could just simply capture and monetize a chunk of that £1 million and apply it into marketing, into outsourcing, into some of the other stuff to help grow the business, to get a better lifestyle from running the business or to sell it for more at the end, then here is the solution to a lot of people's budgetary problems.
Definitely, yeah.
So I would ask people, have you got some? And if you've got some in your business, then someone could come and talk to one of my guys at BBX, because we've spent 31 years specialising in the capture and monetisation of spare capacity in over 100,000 businesses that we work with globally. So I won't go into any more details, Joe, but you've got some stuff that you can share. If I just stop sharing now, is that what you want me to do?
Yeah, so if you stop sharing, I can just hide that. All right, there we go. Gets our lovely faces back on. There we go. Can you see me now? Maybe.
Not quite just yet. If I just do that.
There you go. Click back on the StreamYard. You'll be back in then.
There we go.
You're there?
Yeah, here I am.
Yeah.
So, you know, the whole purpose of Joe is that, you know, we know why businesses fail. It's not a secret. We know that there's so many of them fail. And that's the tragedy of it. So if we can reach out, club together, connect up with one another, collaborate, do deals, put the head on and get rid of the pumpkin in running our business, and do some different stuff that doesn't cost a lot of money, sometimes nothing, we can be the survivors and the thrivers of this world.
What we're aiming for, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's a few small tweaks sometimes, that kind of golden nugget out of all of the massive information out there. Sometimes you can just apply that and just start to shine instead of hiding away. Because, and as I said, obviously it's really embracing the technology, looking to the future and future-proofing a little bit kind of your companies, because there's so many companies that I talk to and they're still doing the things that we've been doing it for years like this. I said, right, okay, well that's a kind of a key indicator that maybe you need a bit of a review and to sit down and work out what you're doing with your plan. I mean, when I worked in the property industry before I got into this, Jane, I would sit down with landlords and investors and kind of have a look at their portfolios, because some of them had owned them for 30, 40 years and they were renting them out at like 30, 40, 50% below market value, or just by applying a strategy, they could make 5 times as much from the same property. So actually it's not doing more stuff or kind of getting new stuff or buying new stuff. Sometimes it's just using the stuff that we've got to the maximum capacity, isn't it? So
yeah. So the number one takeaway that I'd like to leave with people, unless there's some questions somewhere, is that the elephant in the room is the spare capacity that you have in your business, whatever that might be. If anybody out there wants an opportunity to go and measure and identify what this looks like and see what it looks like in quantifiable terms, one of my guys would be more than happy to run through that program with them. and just see what we can do with that, turning that opportunity that's already sitting there into some value to achieve the result. Because I think one thing that's come out of COVID is the old saying that if you continue to do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got, has now disappeared, because you will not get what you've always got.
This is true.
Unless you change and be do a little bit nimble, be more nimble in your business, then you will not get what you've always got.
I prefer that word nimble to pivot. I'm not a big fan of that word. It's horrid, isn't it? But it kind of is kind of says what it does on the tin now, I suppose, isn't it? And you've got to be adaptable, and you've got to embrace the change and actually see it as a positive for the future. But yeah, as I said, anybody that's interested in having a chat with John or his team about the different opportunities, as I said, me and Kylie went through this shortly after we launched BBX into our group. And as I said, obviously, if you are part of the community with BBX, as I said, you can join Ambition Growth Network as well, using the BBX exchange as well, which is really great. So yeah, I'm really happy to be part of the BBX community. And as I said, it's collaborating in so many different ways as well, isn't it? It's not just obviously that spare capacity, it's also the education, learning, and the people that are in the team. I think it's really great to have such awesome minds to help.
And the other thing, Joe, too, is if we'll get a little screed that you can send out to your members, and as a thank you, we'll pop a little value add in there so that I walk the walk rather than just talk the talk. For any Ambition Growth Network people out there, we'll give them a little value add if we ended up engaging with them in the BBX community.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's really great. Super stuff. All right, I'm just going to add something onto the screen here. Obviously, your lovely Scott has just messaged me with a little link here. So I'm just going to, if you just talk for a few seconds while I type this in, John, because it concentrates, because if I get the dots in the wrong place, it's just not going to work, is it? I like multitasking. It's good.
So those about you wondering the type of companies that BBX work with, it can be anyone from a hotel to a restaurant, anyone in the tourism industry. It could be anyone in mechanical or trades of some kind, painters and plumbers and those sort of people. Anybody in the web space, so web developers, any type of marketing company, event company, whether it's online or in situ. All those sort of things. Retailers of all descriptions are part of our community. Charities, and we've got a large ethical and sustainability section in our community. We have our own property division, so those people that are interested in investing in property and those sort of things are also welcome to come and have a look. So it's a full range of different businesses, people from all shapes and sizes, from startup businesses. So if you haven't even started, all the way up to billion turnover businesses we have as customers, because we all have the same issues.
We do. And it's one of those things, I think, obviously, I've been in business for an awful long time now. And actually, I really wish at the beginning of my career, I'd learned all these things. I said I started my first company back in the 90s, Jane, and we didn't even have the internet. We didn't have kind of any of the stuff that we've got nowadays. And I think actually, yeah, we can get information, and we can find someone that is an expert in their industry and actually get to speak to them and help get advice from them, and kind of, collaborate with similar people as well, isn't it? And I think now's the time that businesses can really kind of come out of this stronger. I think obviously when we're all faced with adversity, it's sink or swim time, isn't it? And as I said,
that's the choice. We've got. We're on the Titanic. We've struck the iceberg, and we've decided whether we sink or whether we swim.
Definitely. Let's get that whistle out and start blowing, isn't it? Because I think the more visible you are and the more noise you make and the more kind of people understand who you are, what you're about. And it's sending those vibrations out, isn't it, really, to find your tribe of people that you can kind of engage with. And it's really important, I think, just to be able to get that done. So if anyone does have any questions for John before we close up, I know we've had a few comments that have popped up during, obviously, the presentation. I did put them on the screen because I thought, well, it's always a bit tricky when you do that halfway through, isn't it? So we've got a few people watching, which have obviously said hello. Obviously, when you're watching these StreamYard ones, it's always great to give permission to StreamYard to use your face and your name, like Darren did earlier. But I've got a couple on here. So Grace Chatting was watching earlier. She says, definitely all stronger together, Joe Lines. Yay. Stronger together. We've got another one here from, let's have a quick look, see, they've not put their name on. Anna as well. Anna says stronger together, definitely. And Tim Dewey, hi, John and Joe, he's watching as well, so that's really great. So fantastic stuff. Getting a few more on here. So Darren Kavanagh said that he's got a bit of a busy morning, so he's going to catch on the replay. So as I said, do pop any comments on there. After we've finished here as well, Dawn, if we can get kind of your contact details and stuff put in the feed. So if anybody through the Coronavirus Business Support Group want to get in touch, as I said, everybody's got your detail in the Ambition Growth Network, then as I said, obviously we'll pop some details on there. I've popped on the screen there, as I said, a little link as well, so I will pop that in the comments as well. So if anyone is interested to find out a bit more what BBX actually is. I've got a little question, John, because it's been bugging me. I've never even asked it. What does BBX actually mean? What does it stand for?
Business Bank and Exchange.
Ah, there we go. See? Awesome. Business Banking Exchange. Awesome. It says what it does on the tin, doesn't it? Lovely. I love that. Thank you ever so much. That's really, really great. So, yeah, thank you so much, John. And yeah, we'll catch up with you in the week in the members chat. So thank you.
It's been my pleasure.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Right. So that was John Attridge from BBX. Awesome stuff indeed. So if any of you guys are interested in finding out more about BBX, as I said, me and Kylie have joined up to BBX through Ambition Growth Network as well. So we are part of the community. And if you are interested in joining Ambition Growth Network, you can use your BBX money to join as a member as well. Our little link at the bottom, we will put it in there. That's a new page that we've just set up. We will do a little video as well, a little welcome video to show you how you can use it. So that'd be really great. And again, if anyone does want to become a member of AGN, you just go to our website, which is ambitiongrowthnetwork.co.uk, and click on the membership. So we've got lots of new things coming out over the next month. We should be launching our app, which is really exciting. So if anyone is interested in any further support, advice, business mentoring, we've got accountability and mindset and all kinds of extra stuff that can really help make your business a success. So do come and join us, or pop a little message if you want a quick chat to find out more. So thank you so much. Take care. Bye.